Podcast 18, Effort versus Execution.
Awaken the leader inside. Follow the path of leadership. Never give up. Never stop trying. Get up. Believe in yourself. Not every day is going to be easy, but you got to challenge yourself. You need courage. Be ready. Stop waiting for it to happen. Go make it happen. Harness the power within. You were destined to be a leader. Follow the path of leadership. Awaken the leader inside.
Podcast 18, Effort versus Execution.
Hey guys, welcome to another podcast. My name's Dave Rubalcava, and I'm your host here at Awaken the Leader Inside. Hey guys, thank you for joining in another episode. I appreciate it. And if this is your first time, I appreciate you tuning in. I just want to remind you guys, we are on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and now on YouTube. So today, you guys, I want to talk to you guys about effort versus execution. And, I've been doing a lot of reflecting right now. And, the last podcast was definitely about will set and how it impacts you. But I think as we start to grow and we really start to be transparent about our own performance, one of the most difficult things is distinguishing the difference between effort and execution. And I think a lot of times the line gets blurred because when you're putting in a lot of effort, it almost hurts when you're not successful. But I think it's very, very important to understand they are not the same thing. And so you can try, and I'll give you an example of something that will probably make a little bit more sense. It's like exercising, guys. Everyone at some point struggles with, staying on a routine. You can give all the effort and be consistent, but if you don't eat right, then the results are not going to be what you set out to be. And I think sometimes when we look at business, we monitor how much energy we're putting into something, how much energy, but at the end of the day, as a leader, you're responsible for results. And that's what's hard, is because you can put in all that energy, all that time, and sometimes it feels like it's wasted because at the end of the day, the result wasn't there. I mean, just think about this. If you were the CEO of a company, and this is real world, if you're looking at your quarter earnings and you have to explain how you lost, $500 million, it's black or white. You lost the money. You can't justify it by, wow, we really tried. We really tried to do, be innovative. We really tried to reach a different customer. We really tried. It doesn't matter. The result was not there. And then that's when you have to take a hard look at how did your decisions impact that lack of result. And it's the hardest thing to look in the mirror and say, you know what, man, I dropped the ball, or man, I wasn't committed, or I didn't want to follow through, or sometimes I just got tired and you couldn't get past the hump. That is what is very difficult to work through, because as we're being transparent, and I want to tell you, being transparent is being honest about what's really happening in your world of leadership, whether it's, your own growth or the growth of your team. It's really being honest. And I think we struggle with that, and a lot of energy initially I put with my new leaders about transparency, because I want them to self-discover that effort doesn't always mean that you were able to deliver a result. And so when we look at execution is pretty black and white. Did you get the job done? Were you able to execute on time your goals that you committed to? And when it's like, yes, done, you executed, you did what you had to. Now, I understand the path to execution is very difficult. It's challenging. You're going to have to overcome hurdles, and you're going to have to overcome a lot of things that are going to hold you back or hold your team back, or just setbacks in general. That's all part of this. That's all part of this this thing called being a leader, is you have been put in position to manage and overcome these obstacles. But I think that area is black and white. And when I look back on some of the most difficult times in my career, and I share this a lot with my leaders, is the times that I struggled, I was not able to distinguish the difference between effort and execution. And I didn't want to listen, or I didn't want to hear the feedback that was given to me, because I knew in my heart, I gave blood, sweat, and tears, to just even make some result happen. And that's how I measured my success. And then you think about it, I wasn't very successful, but I measured my level of success by that effort. And so it's a very, very slippery slope that when you start to put a lot of weight on effort, you're going to set yourself up to be disappointed. And I've done it multiple times. I can share, probably 150 scenarios where I could just recall quickly of times that I've done that. But like I said, a lot of it was early in my career while I was leading teams, and I just didn't want to look in the mirror and say, man, this effort isn't worth it. This effort isn't getting me to where I need to go. Now, I want to talk about when you come to terms with realizing, hey, okay, here was the project or whatever, deadline you had or whatever, and it passes and you didn't execute and you're being challenged. The more time you spend on trying to figure out why or how you didn't execute, you're going to grow. And it's going to hurt, and it's going to be difficult to look at some part of my leadership, some value in my leadership set me up to fail. That's a good thing, guys. That's a good thing to spend time, because it's going to keep you honest with who you really are as a leader. That is the key with transparency. Being honest about where you're at is the only way you can change it. It's the only way. We only have so much energy, guys. We only have so much energy to put into something, whether it's a project or yourself. You only have so much energy. You want to put the energy where it's going to matter. And I'll give you an example. I shared this recently. I was talking about transparency with an associate, and I was talking to them about, it's like, I asked him, what's his favorite sport? He said baseball. I said, okay. So imagine if you're the athlete and you are not good at hitting a fastball and you never work on it. What do you think the other pitchers are going to do to you? They're going to keep throwing fastballs at you until you make time and effort to work at it. Work at your opportunity until at least you start to get better. You may never be amazing at hitting that fastball, but at least you can help yourself by being able to hit it a little more frequently. And then over time, maybe even more. But until you really acknowledge that you were failing at hitting this fastball, you're going to continue to fail. And then others they're going to notice what your weakness is. They're going to notice what you're struggling with, and they're going to throw it at you every single time that you're up to hit. That's what they're going to do. Well, guess what, guys? That's what happens with leadership too. Whatever your weakness is, whatever you're not great at, somehow sets you up to fail, because you are not going to be self-aware of what you're struggling with. And it's not going to allow you to hold it together long enough to find success. One of the most amazing things I've learned as a leader is I don't have to be great at everything. I need to be good at when I need it, when I'm struggling with it. I have to be able to be transparent about, what am I struggling with? Why can't I get past this? Who do I need to talk to that can help me? Because pride is not going to let you grow. So sometimes we have to really look in the mirror and say, okay, I'm not good at this. I'm not. And that's okay. That's okay for us to do that. If anything, you do that often enough, you're going to start to grow rapidly. And I mean rapidly, because the truth is, anything in leadership you can change within 30 days if you just work at it, and it starts to become part of your routine. Just like that fastball, if every day, I just start working on trying to hit fastballs every single day for 30 days, naturally, it's going to start to become part of, what do we call it? It's going to start to become muscle memory, right? If you just keep working at it, over time it just becomes muscle memory. And you're not consciously aware at you working at it because you do it all the time. Now I want you to think about that. Think about where you're at as a leader and think about some of the challenges that you're facing right now. Try to find the truth about what's holding you back. And be transparent, not only with yourself. Sometimes we have to be transparent with our team and share with them how we feel about their performance and how we feel that they're doing right now. Regardless of whether it's uncomfortable, sometimes we just have to say what has to be said. But choose the way that you approach it, because that's important too. You can't just, hit somebody in the face and expect them to be receptive. You have to show genuine concern about what's happening and help them think through the process. We call it self-discover. How do you self-discover? What do you think is holding you back? What do you think is happening right now? Why do you think we're struggling with your execution? Like asking those open-ended questions. But I want us to think about that, guys. Acknowledge what we're struggling with right now, because it's going to help you. I'm telling you right now, it's going to hurt sometimes to look in the mirror, but it's going to help you. So I just want to leave you with this, guys. Remember that effort is important. It is the foundation to everything we do. You have to have a lot of effort, a lot of energy, but don't forget that you have to measure it by execution. Measure it by your ability to get the results. And if we do that, and you harness your energy into measuring execution by results, black and white, guys, that there's results. Even if it's not 100%, but if you hit 90%, you can measure it and say, all right, we did some amazing things, and here's what we learned by the 10% that we failed at. This is what we've learned, and share that with each other. Share that with your team. So when this comes up again, you're going to become even stronger to execute your next time around, because now you've learned something. Leadership is about learning. Leadership is about being motivated and now motivating others, but really facilitating learning. If you do that, and you can distinguish the difference between effort and execution and teach your teams the same thing, you're going to grow. And you're going to be successful at everything you do because you're objective about your own ability to execute. Stay tuned for the next podcast. Always remember, awaken the leader inside.